Teddy. Hi. I know you can sense that I'm upset. Just give me a second. Let me get my stream up and running, and I'm all yours, Puffers. I promise. Okay, it looks fine over here. Come on, Twitch. Let me do some updating. I think I'm all cried out now, which would be great, because I don't want to cry on stream. Okay, it looks like we're live. Pulled it up on my phone, but it won't let me update. Oh, you know what? I can probably do it in chat since that's not loading. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, I love it. Let me do this. Hi, Hades. Raw Campbell's noodle soup. Best dad. Raw Campbell's. I'm trying to fix Hades. Oof, you're in for a serious, sad part of the stream that I want to start off with before I move over to Overwatch. Oh no, Mom! Oof. So, is there audio issues? It looks like I have levels. Let me pull it up on my phone. Ooh, okay. Oh, nope, there's audio. Cool. Let me get rid of that game audio. We're not getting into Overwatch quite yet, so we don't need that. So, now that the stream looks to be running okay, I want to have a little chat before this stream. I'm not very big at paying attention to the news. We never had cable growing up, so the only time I ever watched news channels was when we go see my great-grandfather on Tuesday nights to watch, we'd watch some Jeopardy, we'd have dinner, and then we'd watch the newest NCIS episode. But that was the only time I ever used to watch the news. I would read news articles every Friday for a JRTC project, because I always had, that was my homework for the week, was I had to read a news article, present it, figure out what happened, and give my personal opinion on it. But since I've been out of high school, news just kind of came to me by my coworkers and friends and people that I would talk to in my daily life. So, moving to Texas, I didn't have any news for the first 2 months just because every news source that I tried to get into was inaccurate and wrong, and so I stopped looking for news sources out here in Texas. And then I got a job where I work now, presently, and my coworkers became my source of news. They would tell me all the latest, from weather to traffic, from sales going on at the local grocery store. I would get all my news from them. And then COVID happened, and radio silence on news. I didn't even know I was getting a stimulus check until a check popped up in my bank account. And my coworker asked me if I got one, and I said, "But what is this for?" She said, "It's your stimulus check from the government to help you compensate for COVID." And I immediately went to my boss. I was like, "This isn't right. I'm still working, and I got a check." I was so confused. That's how out of the loop I am with news. And then I didn't know we were opening back up until my work contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to be one of the first batches back in?" And I was like, "Definitely, yes, sign me up. I will be there." Oh, started to, let me take those off, get teary-eyed again. So I've been back in the office for about 2 weeks now. with all this going on, I was supposed to be in. I gotta get one too. Yeah. What's wrong, puppers? Just. I know I'm upset. Calm down. I was supposed to be in California 2 weeks ago to see my family and my friends. He's not gonna stop barking until I give him food and water. Just a second. Teddy, you're making this emotional speech really, really difficult. You have food and water. Why are you barking? Come here. You want to sit on my lap while I speak? Come here. Oh, you make things so much easier. Okay, can we not pull off my shirt though? Thanks, buddy. Anyway. So, for the first time in a very long time, I didn't exactly start looking up news articles and everything. I was listening to a podcast with everything that's been going on. And I see the webcam has frozen. Yikes. Nope, there we go. It'll fix itself in a second. I was listening to a podcast, and I've always said I don't want to be a channel that talks about politics because I'm not well versed enough to discuss that. So we're not going to discuss politics. And because I want to respect everyone's walks of life, we won't ever discuss religion on my channel. But the things I want to talk about today have nothing to do with politics or religion. The podcast I watched was a woman of color who is openly gay, expressing the hate she's gotten online for just being a person that exists in this world. And I'm gonna cry again. Listening to what she's gone through and everything she's heard just broke my heart. And I didn't want to talk about it because I am a white person, so I can't relate to what they're going through. And I was born in 97. For those of you that are doing the math now, I'm 22, gonna be 23 next year. By all laws of the universe, I have no room to talk because I'm so young. But at this young age, I've already been through a lot more than most people can imagine. My life was really rough. We grew up in poverty. We didn't really have a solid male figure until I was in my teens. But one thing that radiates above all else from my childhood is we would see these posts and these shows and movies about cyberbullying and hate and all this stuff, and I didn't experience that. I grew up in this very small town in California where I didn't see racism, I didn't see bullying, I didn't see hate. One of my good friends in junior high, came out in junior high, and the closest I ever saw to bullying was somebody calling her gay. And I remember looking at them and laughing, and I was like, so what? She's gay. So am I. And I pulled out a dictionary and showed them where it says gay means happy. Because at the time, it didn't really register. And as I got into high school, I got to see a little bit more of that hate and discrimination. And I tried my damnedest to weed it out, but I never was exposed to racism. So hearing these stories, it got me so emotional that as soon as I clocked out from work, I called my mom. And I talked to my mom about it for most of my ride home because I just couldn't calm down. Because for me, yes, I'm a white person, but my god sister, who's still in elementary school, and my godmother are of color. And there's some people that I was supposed to be visiting when I went to California 2 weeks ago. They are of color, and I don't want to think of my god sister ever having to endure that. And my godmother is an amazing woman. She's amazing. She was a surrogate for several people. I think she had 3 surrogate babies. She had her own kid, and she managed a marriage and friendships all while going to school. She's incredible. And now she has a job that she loves, a home, a family, and just imagine them ever having to go through that. It was terrifying, and I know it's easy for me to say, but the things that were running through my head when I started watching all this stuff was, what can I do? I'm just a single person, and I wanted to fly back home and just hug my mom because growing up, moms always made everything better. But this is something that we as a community all have to fix. Because in my eyes, this thing, I can't even understand what it is because I was never like that growing up. Thank you, Belle. For me, my biggest hardship growing up was that my brother was so amazing that I just strived to make him proud. Because I didn't have a male figure in my life. I had my mom. But my mom has always been proud of me and my brother. Our biggest struggle was poverty. Not what all these other people are having to go through. And I'm not going to discuss my political stances on police brutality or any of that. I just want to stick to this one host. Because this is not politics. This is general human compassion. And I remember reading in US history when I was a kid about, I want to say it was Voltaire, and I think it was called natural born rights, which are rights given to every person. Every person. Doesn't matter their gender, how they sexually identify, what color their skin is. And I thought, maybe because I grew up behind rose tinted glass, but I thought that that was something that had been developed worldwide at this point, that this wasn't a problem that we had. And I'm trying, even now, as I sit here, trying to think of instances where I've seen it and could have stepped in and stopped it, but I was very fortunate to have never been in an environment that dealt with that. The biggest fight I ever had was dealing with backlash of supporting the a community that isn't sexually attracted to the opposite sex. I had so many gay friends in high school that I, I even found one crying one time because of the hate they were getting. And I remember I almost got expelled that day for punching a kid in the nose and breaking it. Because I just don't. You can't. I don't understand how somebody can hate somebody for something they can't control. For a way they were born. But I know this is really heavy. I'm sorry. But I vented to my mom. And as I was talking to her, I mentioned that I feel like I shouldn't be the one to talk about this stuff. It needs to be somebody that's been exposed to this stuff. But the people that I know that could have been haven't been, thankfully. So I'm talking about it now. It's very difficult to wrap my head around. And the only solution I see, not talking about the police brutality, I'm just talking about racism in general, is if you see it, whether you're involved in it directly or indirectly, stand up for people, not color. And that's the same solution I had for people hating on gays and everything. I stood up for a person, not a topic. While I'm all for people exploring, trying different things out, if that's the way they are, then let them be that way. If it makes them happy, what does it have to do with you? How is it affecting you that that person is over there is eating watermelon with a fork? Because I've seen that and it drives me bonkers, but it doesn't affect me, so I'm not gonna say anything. I see a lot going on in public schools with plenty of mixed races. See, and hearing that stuff, it just boggles my mind because in my hometown, I can think of, we didn't have the most diverse culture, but the rare minority that were different than the majority weren't treated any different from what I can remember. And if they were, I didn't see it, and that's my fault for not paying enough attention and speaking up when I did see it. But I always used to say in high school to defend the homosexuals was they are so much happier than us because they don't have to hide themselves. They don't have to hide who they are because they've already come out. All they have to do is make themselves happy now. And for me in high school, that was really difficult because my mom was on the verge of losing marriage number 3. I was convinced in order for my dad to love me and not leave me again, I couldn't ever cry or show any negative emotion. I had to be a star softball player with a bright future. But then I didn't make the softball team one year. And I started crying. I lost my first boyfriend and I was a mess and he left anyway. He was gonna leave anyway because that's the type of person my biological dad was. I'm not gonna go into that today. We'll talk about Nightstar's sad sob story a different day. But the point I'm trying to make here is that in order to get change, we need to stop any injustices we see being done to people every single day. And I've already been talking about this for almost 20 minutes. I told myself this is just gonna be a 5-minute quick conversation about how I felt on everything that's going on, and then we're gonna hop over to Overwatch so I can get some practice done. But I was watching the Achievement Hunter off-topic podcast that came out on YouTube today, and I couldn't even get through it without bawling my eyes out. My mom says she sent me a video that kind of thinks will help and everything, because anyone that knows me growing up, they would always say that I had a black hole where my heart should be because I never expressed any emotions. We could watch movies that were super sad, I wouldn't cry. Something bad could happen, I wouldn't cry. But the older I get, the easier I'm finding it to cry. And while I don't know a lot of these people in person, I wish I could hug all of them and help them out. Can't confirm. Wherever I can. And it's not one of those things where like I'm financially able to help out that way. The only way I can see myself being able to help fix this problem is if I see something to say something to try and stop it. Like, I have some neighbors that are of color, and I'll tell you, they are the sweetest people. The week before I was supposed to go back to work, my car broke down, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And the gentleman came out, he saw me working on my car. I told him what I thought was a problem, and he helped me fix it. Super sweet. They've been so nice to me since I moved in. And to imagine anything like that happening to them, I just don't get it, because they can be the sweetest, nicest people, but because you have this trait of thought that a certain class of people are less than you, means that they get to be treated any different. That's just like saying, you make more money than me, that means you're in charge of me, you get to control me. That's not okay. Oh my gosh. So, I know this is a lot really heavy and a lot deeper than our chat ever goes. And I've always been an advocate for our chat needs to be a happy, safe place. But please, if you guys ever see any of this going on in my chat, let me know. And I will deal with that person myself. And I will handle it. I don't even want my mods to handle a situation like that, because something like that will not be tolerated in my chat. They will not be welcome to the channel ever again. Discord, Twitter, Twitch, they will not have a voice on my channel if they think that treating anyone with any walks of life with anything less than respect is okay. And I really hope my mom's still not still here, because I've already cried to her enough today. Uh, and it's just, maybe I should move over to Overwatch now because I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again. But it could genuinely be just how I was raised. And I hope that going forward, other people are taught to be kind just to people in general in the future going forward. Because I always hear people talk how they want to leave the world a better place than they found it. And this is the first step to doing that. So, I think I'm done crying. So, I'm gonna put back on my glasses and we're gonna play some Overwatch, y'all. Oh, I'm so red. Oh, I'm so red. Okay, actually, let me go wash my face. And then we're gonna play some Overwatch, and everyone is welcome to join as usual. We're gonna get happy and upbeat, and it's gonna be great. But I'll be right back.